Ryan Thompson thought he had seen everything in 20 years of real estate investigating. Former banker turned property detective, he specialized in uncovering hidden wealth stories that defied all logic and challenged every assumption about money, success, and social status. His investigative career had taken him from Wall Street boardrooms to abandoned warehouses, from luxury penthouses to trailer parks, always searching for the impossible stories that proved wealth comes in forms nobody expects. But nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared him for what happened when he walked into Save Mart grocery store last Tuesday afternoon at exactly 3:47 p.m. What started as a simple coffee run would become the most mind-bending real estate discovery of his entire career. Janet Martinez was scanning barcodes at Register 3, wearing her standard blue Save Mart vest and name tag, looking exactly like any other grocery store employee earning minimum wage and living paycheck to paycheck. Her worn sneakers told the story of countless hours standing on concrete floors. Her tired expression suggested someone grinding through another endless shift, counting down minutes until quitting time. Her practiced smile carried the forced politeness of someone who had scanned thousands of items for demanding customers who barely acknowledged her existence. Ryan was simply buying his usual afternoon coffee and energy bar when something impossible caught his attention. Something that would shatter every assumption he had ever made about judging people by their appearances, their jobs, or their circumstances. While Janet processed his items with the mechanical efficiency of someone who had performed the same motions thousands of times, her phone buzzed with what sounded like a business call. Ryan heard fragments that made absolutely no sense coming from someone supposedly struggling to pay rent. Yes, the new tenant signed the lease for the corner unit and tell the property management company the security deposit cleared yesterday morning. Strange words. Impossible words for someone earning $8 an hour and wearing a grocery store uniform that suggested financial desperation. When she apologized for the interruption and casually mentioned having to deal with some tenant issues and contractor problems. After her shift ended, Ryan's investigative instincts didn't just activate, they exploded like a nuclear bomb in his brain. Every alarm bell developed over 2 decades of uncovering hidden wealth began screaming simultaneously. Here was a woman who appeared to be struggling financially, scanning groceries for minimum wage in a job that millions of Americans consider the bottom of the economic ladder, yet somehow discussing tenants, leases, contractors, and property management companies like a seasoned real estate investor who owned substantial commercial assets. The contradiction was so stark, so impossible, it seemed like someone was playing an elaborate practical joke. Ryan knew from decades of experience investigating hidden fortunes that when something doesn't add up in real estate, when the surface story contradicts the subtle clues, there's always an incredible story hiding beneath that surface. Always, as Janet handed him his receipt with hands that looked like they belonged to someone who worked with money and property, rather than someone who needed to count every dollar, Ryan noticed something else that sent chills down his spine. The way she casually mentioned handling multiple properties while bagging his groceries suggested a level of real estate involvement that was absolutely incompatible with her apparent financial situation. Her confident manner when discussing property matters revealed knowledge that only came from actual experience, not theoretical understanding. She spoke about tenant relationships, lease negotiations, and contractor management with the casual familiarity of someone who dealt with these issues regularly, not someone who had never owned anything more valuable than a used car. That evening, Ryan couldn't sleep. He couldn't eat. He couldn't focus on anything except the feeling that he had stumbled onto something so extraordinary it would challenge everything people believe about wealth, success, and the masks that truly successful people wear to hide their fortunes from the world. His years of uncovering hidden real estate fortunes told him that Janet Martinez was hiding a secret so shocking, so impossible, it would redefine how anyone thinks about ordinary people and extraordinary wealth. The grocery store clerk who discussed properties like a mogul was about to become his most mind-blowing discovery yet. The investigation that would follow would prove that the most incredible real estate empires in America are hiding in plain sight, disguised behind the most ordinary circumstances, worn by people who have mastered the art of invisible wealth. Fascinated? Keep watching because the shocking truth about hidden wealth is about to blow your mind. The next morning, Ryan returned to SaveMart with a carefully planned strategy. 20 years of investigating hidden wealth had taught him that extraordinary stories required extraordinary patience, methodical investigation, and the ability to ask the right questions without raising suspicion. He positioned himself in Janet's checkout line, armed with casual conversation starters and his decades of property investigation experience. His goal was simple: learn more about the mysterious grocery store employee who spoke like someone who owned substantial real estate assets while wearing a uniform that suggested she couldn't afford to miss a single day of work. Janet looked exactly the same as the day before. Same blue SaveMart vest with the company logo proudly displayed. Same tired eyes that suggested long hours and financial pressure. Same mechanical movements as she scanned endless products with the practiced efficiency of someone who had performed these motions hundreds of thousands of times. Everything about her screamed ordinary minimum wage worker, trapped in a cycle of financial survival, except for one crucial detail that Ryan couldn't ignore: the confident, knowledgeable way she had discussed property management, tenant relations, and real estate investments the previous day. That kind of confidence, that level of specific knowledge, only came from real experience managing actual properties, not from reading articles or watching YouTube videos about real estate investment. When his turn arrived, Ryan struck up conversation about the local area, mentioning that he worked in real estate and asking casual questions about the neighborhood's development patterns. Janet's reaction was immediate, telling and absolutely impossible given her apparent circumstances. Instead of the polite disinterest he expected from someone earning $8 an hour and wearing a grocery store uniform, her eyes immediately sharpened with genuine knowledge and engagement. She began discussing property values in their neighborhood with the expertise and insight of someone who actually owned assets there, not someone who rented a small apartment and worried about making rent each month. The commercial district has been appreciating steadily over the past 18 months, Janet mentioned, while scanning his items with practiced efficiency. Smart investors have been quietly acquiring properties before the big development announcement that's coming next quarter. The City Council approved the zoning changes last month, but most people don't pay attention to municipal meetings. Her casual mention of zoning changes, City Council decisions, and investment timing strategies, while wearing a grocery store uniform, created cognitive dissonance so intense it made Ryan's head spin. These weren't topics that minimum wage workers typically followed unless they had substantial financial interests at stake. Ryan pressed further, asking about specific streets, property types, and market trends in different areas of the city. Janet's responses revealed intimate, detailed knowledge of local real estate markets, rental rates, cap rate calculations, cash flow analysis, and development patterns that only came from someone who actively participated in these markets as an investor, not as someone who dreamed about someday affording to buy a small starter home. She discussed different neighborhoods' appreciation potential, analyzed the impact of new business developments on surrounding property values, and evaluated the long-term investment prospects of various commercial districts with the analytical depth of someone who had substantial money invested in these markets. The most shocking moment came when Janet casually mentioned dealing with contractors at my commercial properties during a brief lull between customers. Ryan's mind raced like a computer processing impossible data. Commercial properties, plural. This woman, supposedly earning minimum wage, was discussing multiple commercial real estate holdings like they were routine business matters that occupied her time outside of scanning groceries. The property management company I use handles most of the day-to-day issues, she continued while processing the next customer's items. But I like to personally oversee major repairs and renovations. You can't trust contractors to maintain quality standards unless you're actively involved in supervising their work. Ryan's investigation instincts went into overdrive. He had uncovered wealthy individuals hiding behind modest appearances before, but never someone whose disguise was this complete, this convincing, this psychologically sophisticated. Janet wasn't just downplaying her wealth or being modest about her success. She was actively working a minimum wage job while apparently owning and managing substantial commercial real estate investments. The psychological complexity required to maintain such a complete deception suggested someone who had carefully planned every aspect of her wealth-hiding strategy. This wasn't accidental modesty or simple privacy preference. This was elaborate, intentional camouflage designed to completely conceal extraordinary financial success behind ordinary circumstances. After leaving the store, Ryan spent the entire afternoon and evening researching public property records, business registrations, tax assessments, and municipal databases, looking for any connection between Janet Martinez and local real estate holdings. His investigation software, developed over years of uncovering hidden assets, churned through thousands of records searching for patterns, connections, and evidence. What he discovered in those records would forever change how he viewed ordinary people, hidden wealth, and the psychological games that truly successful investors play to protect their fortunes from public scrutiny, family pressure, and social expectations. The property database revealed something so impossible, so psychologically complex, that Ryan had to verify the information through 3 different government databases, 2 private investigation services, and a personal contact at the county assessor's office before believing what his computer screen was showing him. Janet Martinez wasn't just hiding modest wealth behind her grocery store job. She wasn't just being private about a small real estate investment. She was concealing a commercial real estate empire so extensive, so valuable, so carefully constructed that it would make seasoned professional investors weep with envy and amazement. The scope of her deception was about to redefine everything Ryan thought he knew about wealth, disguise, and the incredible stories hiding behind the most ordinary appearances in America. Bewildered? Subscribe now because Ryan's journey into hidden real estate empires is just getting started. Ryan stared at his computer screen in complete disbelief, his 20 years of investigating hidden wealth providing no frame of reference for what the property records were revealing. The databases showed Janet Martinez as the owner of not 1, not 2, but 17 separate commercial properties throughout the metropolitan area, with a combined assessed value exceeding $8.4 million. The grocery store clerk, scanning barcodes for $8 an hour, secretly owned one of the largest private commercial real estate portfolios in the entire city. The psychological implications were staggering, the financial reality was impossible, and the level of deception required to maintain such a complete disguise challenged everything Ryan understood about wealth, success, and human psychology. But the most shocking discovery was still coming. As Ryan dug deeper into the property records, he uncovered a truth so impossible it seemed like elaborate fiction designed to test the limits of human credulity. Janet didn't just own commercial real estate near the Save Mart where she worked. She owned the entire strip mall where Save Mart was located. She was literally working as an employee in a store situated in her own shopping center, collecting her minimum wage paycheck from a business that was paying rent to her other business entity. The irony was so profound, so psychologically complex, it seemed like the plot of a surreal novel about hidden wealth and social deception. County records confirmed every impossible detail. Janet Martinez, through a web of carefully constructed, limited liability companies and business partnerships, owned the land, the buildings, and collected rent from every single tenant in the Westfield shopping plaza, including the Save Mart grocery store, where she scanned barcodes 8 hours a day while wearing a uniform that suggested financial desperation. Ryan's investigation revealed that Janet's real estate empire generated over $47,000 in monthly passive income from rental properties alone. She was earning more in rental profits each month than most professional families earned in annual salaries. Yet she continued showing up to scan groceries, deal with difficult customers, and maintain the perfect disguise of someone struggling to survive financially. The psychological sophistication required to maintain such an elaborate deception while building substantial wealth was unlike anything Ryan had encountered in his career. This wasn't simple privacy or modesty. This was strategic wealth camouflage executed at a level that approached genius. Ryan dove deeper into Janet's incredible journey, uncovering a story that proved the most extraordinary real estate success stories begin with devastating failure, strategic thinking, and the application of principles that most people consider impossible or impractical. 15 years earlier, Janet had lost everything in a restaurant business bankruptcy that destroyed her credit, depleted her savings, and left her facing foreclosure on her family home. The failure was complete, devastating, and public. She had gone from successful business owner to financial pariah overnight, experiencing the psychological trauma that destroys most people's confidence and ambition permanently. Instead of accepting defeat or spending years rebuilding traditional credit and employment history, Janet made a decision that would prove the power of Robert Kiyosaki's teachings about acquiring assets while maintaining the appearance of being financially unsuccessful. She decided to rebuild her wealth in complete secrecy, using her apparent poverty as strategic camouflage for acquiring real estate that other investors couldn't access. Janet's strategy was brilliant, counterintuitive, and psychologically sophisticated, beyond anything Ryan had encountered. While rebuilding her credit and saving money from various jobs, she took the SaveMart position not out of desperation, but as perfect camouflage for building wealth. Nobody suspects a grocery store clerk of being a real estate mogul. Nobody questions the financial capacity of someone wearing a minimum wage uniform. Her modest appearance and grocery store job provided the ultimate disguise for approaching distressed property owners, building relationships with working class sellers, and acquiring real estate through creative financing methods that bypassed traditional lending requirements. The first property Janet acquired was a small retail space purchased with seller financing when the previous owner faced bankruptcy. Similar to her own earlier experience, instead of revealing her ultimate intentions or quitting her grocery job, she kept her SaveMart position as cover, while using the rental income to methodically acquire the next property, then the next, building toward her ultimate goal of owning entire commercial strips. Ryan discovered that Janet's real estate empire was generating over $47,000 monthly in passive income from 17 different properties strategically located throughout 3 commercial districts. She owned restaurants, beauty salons, auto repair shops, medical offices, retail spaces, and even a small office building, each property carefully selected and financed through creative methods that avoided traditional banking scrutiny. The psychological genius of Janet's approach became clear as Ryan interviewed her the following week. Working at SaveMart provided much more than camouflage. It gave her insider intelligence about retail trends, consumer behavior, foot traffic patterns, and which businesses were struggling financially. She used this information to identify acquisition opportunities before other investors even knew properties were available. Janet revealed that she purchased struggling businesses' properties directly from desperate owners, often providing immediate solutions to their financial problems when banks and traditional investors offered only rejection and foreclosure threats. Her grocery store position gave her credibility with working-class property owners who trusted her empathy and understanding more than they trusted wealthy investors in expensive suits. Property owners see my SaveMart vest and assume I understand their struggles, Janet explained during their confidential interview. They're more willing to discuss creative financing arrangements with someone they perceive as being in similar financial circumstances. Wealthy investors in luxury cars make them defensive and suspicious. I make them comfortable and trusting. The most incredible part of Janet's strategy was how she financed her growing empire without traditional bank loans that required extensive documentation, employment verification, and credit analysis. Instead of conventional financing that would have exposed her growing wealth, she used seller financing arrangements, lease options, private lending agreements, and partnership structures that kept her acquisitions completely private. Each property acquisition was structured to remain invisible to traditional credit reporting, tax assessment increases, and public scrutiny that might have exposed her growing wealth to family members, friends, or co-workers who believed she was struggling financially like millions of other minimum wage workers. Ryan learned that Janet owned the land under 3 different restaurant chains, collected rent from 2 medical plazas, controlled the parking rights for a major shopping district, and had exclusive lease options on 4 additional commercial properties that would trigger automatically when specific development conditions were met. Her portfolio included properties with 20-year triple net leases to national retail chains, generating guaranteed income that increased annually with inflation adjustments. She owned buildings rented to government agencies, medical practices, and established businesses with perfect payment histories spanning decades. The SaveMart job that everyone assumed was her only income source was actually her research laboratory and intelligence gathering operation. Janet studied customer behavior, business cycles, seasonal patterns, and market trends while scanning groceries, using this intelligence to make million-dollar investment decisions that other investors missed completely. She identified which businesses were expanding or contracting based on their purchasing patterns, which neighborhoods were gentrifying based on changing customer demographics, and which commercial districts were attracting new development based on permit applications and zoning change discussions she overheard from contractors and business owners who shopped at SaveMart. When Ryan asked why she maintained the grocery store charade after building such substantial wealth, Janet's answer revealed the psychological depth and strategic sophistication of her approach to wealth building and protection. "Nobody negotiates hard with someone they think is broke," she explained with the confidence of someone who had tested this principle hundreds of times. "Property owners see my SaveMart vest and assume I'm desperate, so they offer deals they would never give to obvious investors. Sellers who would demand top dollar from wealthy buyers will accept creative financing terms from someone they believe is struggling to afford the property. But it's more than just negotiation advantage," Janet continued. "Maintaining the grocery store job protects me from family pressure, social expectations, and the psychological problems that sudden wealth creates. My relatives can't pressure me for loans because they think I'm broke. Friends can't resent my success because they don't know it exists. I can focus on building wealth without dealing with the social complications that destroy most people's financial progress." The psychological genius of Janet's wealth-hiding strategy extended to every aspect of her life. She drove an old Honda Civic to work, shopped at discount stores, lived in a modest apartment, and maintained perfect consistency in her poverty disguise while secretly controlling millions of dollars in commercial real estate that generated more monthly income than most people earned annually. Reality completely shattered. Demolish that like button and stay locked in, because the most incredible part is still coming. The full scope of Janet's psychological mastery and strategic deception became clear when Ryan visited her modest apartment, expecting to find someone living paycheck to paycheck in basic accommodations that matched her grocery store employee appearance. Instead, he discovered that Janet owned the entire apartment building and lived in the penthouse unit she had completely renovated with luxury finishes while maintaining a poverty facade for public consumption. The building itself was another masterpiece of hidden wealth. From the outside, it appeared to be a standard middle-class apartment complex with modest landscaping and basic maintenance. But Janet owned every unit, had strategically upgraded the interiors to attract high-paying tenants, and collected substantial rental income while living in luxury accommodations that she had designed to remain invisible from street view. Her penthouse apartment featured Italian marble countertops, hardwood floors imported from Brazil, custom cabinetry that cost more than most people's annual salaries, and panoramic city views that revealed why she had specifically purchased this building. From her living room windows, she could see 7 of her commercial properties, monitoring her real estate empire while maintaining the perfect disguise of financial struggle. Janet revealed that she owned 23 different properties across the metropolitan area, with a combined current market value exceeding $12.8 million. Her monthly rental income from all properties totaled $64,000, meaning she earned more in passive income each month than most professional families made in entire years of employment. The most shocking revelation was Janet's long-term planning and strategic vision that extended far beyond simple wealth accumulation. She had planned every detail of her wealth-hiding strategy as part of a 15-year program designed to build generational wealth while maintaining complete psychological and social protection from the problems that sudden or visible wealth creates. Her SaveMart colleagues, people she had worked alongside for 8 years, had absolutely no idea about her real estate empire. She had listened to their financial struggles, their complaints about rent increases, their dreams of someday owning small homes, while secretly earning enough rental income to solve all their problems combined if she chose to reveal her true financial capacity. The psychological burden of maintaining such complete deception was something Janet discussed with surprising openness. "The hardest part isn't hiding the money," she explained. "The hardest part is watching people I care about struggle with problems I could easily solve, knowing that helping them would expose the entire system I've built to protect my wealth." Ryan discovered that Janet's strategy included specific psychological techniques for maintaining her poverty disguise under pressure. She had developed consistent stories about her financial limitations, practiced responses to questions about money, and created elaborate explanations for any inconsistencies that might suggest hidden wealth. When co-workers mentioned her surprisingly good credit score, she attributed it to careful budgeting and debt management. When someone noticed her occasional expensive purchases, she claimed they were gifts from relatives or items purchased during rare sales. Every potential exposure point had been anticipated and neutralized with plausible explanations that reinforced her poverty narrative. The depth of Janet's planning included legal structures designed to protect her wealth from discovery through court proceedings, divorce settlements, or family disputes. Her properties were owned through multiple limited liability companies registered in different states, with complex partnership agreements that made ownership determination nearly impossible without extensive legal investigation. Janet's real estate empire was structured to survive economic downturns, legal challenges, and personal emergencies while maintaining complete privacy protection. Each property was acquired with different financing methods, owned through different business entities, and managed through separate property management companies to prevent any single point of failure from exposing her entire portfolio. Ryan learned that Janet's long-term plan involved gradually transitioning from acquisition to optimization as her portfolio approached $25 million in total value. She intended to quit SaveMart once her annual passive income exceeded $500,000, finally dropping the disguise that had enabled her incredible success while building the psychological foundation for enjoying her wealth without social complications. The most inspiring aspect of Janet's journey was how she had transformed devastating financial failure into extraordinary success by rejecting traditional approaches to wealth building and social expectations about money, success, and appropriate behavior for people in different economic circumstances. Her bankruptcy 15 years earlier had taught her that visible wealth creates problems, that traditional success attracts attention and pressure, and that the most successful wealth building happens in complete secrecy with strategic protection from social expectations and family pressures. When Ryan asked about the emotional toll of hiding such massive success from people she cared about, Janet's response revealed the psychological sophistication required to build wealth while maintaining social relationships and personal authenticity. "Hiding money is much easier than hiding success," she explained. "Money is just numbers in accounts and names on property deeds. Success is about confidence, knowledge, and capability that shows in everything you do. The real challenge is appearing financially stressed while feeling financially secure, acting worried about money while controlling millions of dollars, and maintaining relationships with people who don't know the most important thing about your life." The proof of Janet's empire was overwhelming and undeniable. Ryan verified property records, rental agreements, tax documents, bank statements, and business registrations that confirmed every detail of her impossible story. The grocery store clerk earning minimum wage was secretly one of the most successful real estate investors in the entire metropolitan area. Her success proved that extraordinary wealth could be built and maintained in complete secrecy, that the most successful investors often looked nothing like what people expected, and that the biggest real estate fortunes in America were probably hiding behind the most ordinary appearances in grocery stores, gas stations, and minimum wage jobs throughout the country. But here's the most crucial, World-changing insight that turns impossible stories into incredible opportunities. The ultimate lesson from Janet's incredible journey isn't about deception, hiding wealth, or maintaining false appearances for psychological advantage. The real lesson is about recognizing that extraordinary success exists everywhere around us, disguised as ordinary circumstances, and that our assumptions about people's financial situations, capabilities, and potential are probably completely wrong in ways that could change our entire approach to business, relationships, and opportunity recognition. Janet's story proves that the most successful people are often the least obvious people, that real wealth builders focus on assets rather than appearances, and that the biggest opportunities come from understanding what others miss, ignore, or dismiss as impossible based on surface-level judgments about people's circumstances or potential. Next week, I'm investigating an even more psychologically complex story about Marcus Williams, a homeless man living under the Interstate 85 bridge, who turns out to be a former commercial real estate mogul with properties worth over $15 million, deliberately choosing to live on the streets while his empire generates massive, passive income that he reinvests through a network of business managers and investment advisors who have no idea about his current living situation. The psychological and spiritual reasons behind Marcus's choice to maintain extreme poverty while controlling extraordinary wealth will challenge everything you think you know about money, happiness, success, and the relationship between material wealth and personal fulfillment. His story reveals why some of the richest people in America choose to live like the poorest, and how his street experience has made him a better investor than when he lived in luxury penthouses. If Janet's amazing journey from grocery store bankruptcy to hidden real estate empire inspires you to recognize that million-dollar opportunities are hiding behind minimum wage uniforms in every city across America, smash that subscribe button right now, because I uncover these incredible wealth secrets that challenge every assumption about money and success every single week. Hit the notification bell immediately so you never miss these shocking discoveries about ordinary people with extraordinary hidden financial success that prove the biggest real estate fortunes are built by people who look nothing like what anyone expects successful investors to look like. Absolutely demolish that like button. If Janet's story proves that million-dollar real estate opportunities are hiding behind checkout counters, fast food uniforms, and service jobs everywhere you look, and that recognizing hidden potential in people and properties is the foundation of extraordinary investment success. Share this video with anyone who needs to understand that wealth comes in forms they never expected, that success hides behind circumstances they would never associate with financial abundance, and that judging people by their appearances, jobs, or apparent financial situations is the biggest mistake that prevents most people from recognizing the incredible opportunities that surround them constantly. Your support helps me continue investigating these impossible stories that prove extraordinary. Wealth surrounds us disguised as ordinary circumstances. Every subscription, like, and share enables more deep dive investigations into the secret millionaires hiding in plain sight throughout America, building massive fortunes while maintaining perfect disguises that fool everyone around them. Comment below about the most surprising place you've encountered unexpected wealth, knowledge, or capability that challenged your assumptions about success. Share your thoughts about whether Janet's wealth-hiding strategy is brilliant psychology or unnecessary deception. And tell me about any ordinary people in your life who might be hiding extraordinary capabilities that deserve investigation. Read every single comment and often discover my next investigation topics from your incredible suggestions about hidden success stories, ordinary people with extraordinary knowledge, and situations where appearances deceive people about the real wealth, capability, and potential that exists in unexpected places throughout our communities. Remember, million-dollar real estate opportunities surround you every day. Open your eyes.